America's got a new idol. You probably know the mega popular talent contest crowned a new champ this week. Now, millions of people in the U.S. tune in for this show every year, but other countries have similar competitions, although the name and the game are a little different. John Voss gives us a look at China's search for Superboy.
Humiliation, it seems, knows no borders. Regardless of country, regardless of language. And here in China, 100,000 wannabes, and some never really should-ofs, have tried out for the title of Superboy, an all-male talent quest now down to the final 12. Where just like the International Idol series, viewers get to choose the winner. Contestants are chosen from 6 different provinces, like these 50 from Jiangsu. This is a war zone, the voiceover says, as competing Superboys jump in and out of tanks. While these contestants from Shaanxi province are portrayed as ancient Chinese warriors about to do battle. The Superboy series is a spin-off from the widely popular Supergirl. When it first went to air 2 years ago, more than 400 million watched the grand finale. Jane Zhang was the runner-up that first year. This former student who once sang in a bar now has a #1 selling album and performs to sold-out concerts. So much has changed in my life, she told me. So many strangers just want to meet me now. It feels like everything around me is alive. Her record producer says Supergirl and Superboy have permanently changed China's music industry. The audience wants to be involved, he says. They choose the contestants they like and then they want to buy their albums. Call it the idol effect, a fast road to fame for a few, a cringing moment for so many others. John Voss, CNN, Beijing.
One town in that land has really taken an interest in the U.S. election because it shares its name with the president-elect. In Japanese, Obama means Little Beach. It's home to about 32,000 people, fewer than the crowds that showed up at many of Barack Obama's campaign events. But it turns out the town has a musical connection to the incoming president. Kyung-la tunes up the details.
So we are in Obama, Japan. We're covering the story of Obama City and its connection to the man, Obama. This is my producer, Junko. She's busy at work. I'm bothering her. So everywhere you go here, what we've noticed in covering this story is that there's this song, this music. And we just had to know more about this band that you hear everywhere.
This is the Anyone Brothers Band, made up of 2 lead singers, a guitarist, a red Power Ranger, don't ask me why, and Obama native Toshitaka Kimura. They are unabashedly Barack Obama fans.
Of course, Barack Obama.
And wrote this catchy love song, a 2-for-1, if you will, to the city of Obama and Obama the man.
So as far as the song, really, after a few days in Obama, I don't know, what do you think of the song? No more about myself.
Well, this won't win any Grammys, but one rap performance is getting attention because it's drawing attention to some details that most people probably ignore. Walt Macaborski of affiliate KDAF in Dallas, Texas, introduces us to the artist whose rhyming reputation is really taking off.
Good evening, folks. Welcome aboard Southwest Airlines Flight 372, service to Oklahoma City.
When David Holmes used to give the pre-flight instructions, the passengers would tune out and glaze over. Not anymore.
We're going to shake things up a little bit.
I take them by surprise. I usually don't tell them that I'm going to do it.
And to do it,
You guys with me? All right. So give me a stomp, clap, stomp, clap. Come on.
David needs a little audience participation to pull it off.
There you go. Keep that going. This is Flight 372 on SWA. The flight attendants on board serving you today. Teresa in the middle, David in the back. My name is David, and I'm here to tell you that.
The first time I did it, it's really just because it was just some fun thing to do.
If you have a seat on the road with the exit, we're gonna talk to you, so you might as well expect it. You gotta help evacuate in case we need you. If you don't want to, then we're gonna reseat you.
And I didn't know how they were gonna react, but I was in a good mood, and I like to have fun at work. But then people started getting off the plane telling me, that's the first time I ever listened to the emergency instructions.
Before we leave, our advice is put away your electronic devices. Fasten your seatbelt, then put your trays up, press the button to make the seat back raise up.
David was discovered by a passenger who recorded his rap on her cell phone and said she was going to put it on YouTube.
And I said, I dare you. And 2 days later, she did it. And 2 days after that, it was already over 2,000 hits at the time.
Now David is a YouTube sensation, and he's been doing the rap ever since, to rave reviews.
Sit back, relax, have a good time.
Never experienced a rapid flight attendant. It's pretty awesome. Is it pretty easy? And I don't like rap, and I really like that. That was pretty good.
Thank you for the fact that I wasn't ignored. This is Southwest Airlines. Welcome aboard.
Well, at least for this show, that's a wrap. Woo! Before we go, a man with a singular focus. Tristan Bates is on track to wrap up his Unithon later this week. He's riding more than 400 miles, and he's doing it all on one wheel. The goal of Bates' trek is to raise money for cancer research. He's been riding a unicycle for 6 years, and when his dad was diagnosed with cancer, Bates came up with the Unithon idea. One wheel, one cure. Certainly a unique plan. We wish him the best of luck with it. Although after 400 miles, he's bound to be one tired cyclist. And before we go, you may think dancing's for the birds, and in this case, you're right. This is some serious headbanging. Check it out. Synchronized head bobbing. The whole thing looks like a talon-tapping good time. We have to say, watching the people you're about to see, yeah, that's almost as funny as watching the bird. Just throw your hands in the air. Lady, I don't have hands. But I do have a righteous mohawk, and the bird knows how to get down. We don't think he has any set moves, though. He's just kind of winging it. You know what his favorite dance is? The funky chicken. And if he really likes a song, he'll ask you to put it on repeat.
Next up, the bright lights of the big city. You might have seen the neon displays in New York or maybe even Las Vegas, but in this case, we're talking about Hong Kong. Now, some residents say all that light from businesses and advertisements can boost the city's image or even make the streets safer. But not everyone thinks brighter is better. Richard Quest has this illuminating report.
There are lights, bigger lights, and then there's Hong Kong. The world's big cities offer culture, convenience, and a cosmopolitan way of life. Living in a city, especially like this, can be anything but easy. Property prices are some of the highest in the world. The city's battle with air pollution is well known. With so much development, there's also the noise pollution. Now an entirely different problem. It's trying to live in a city of lights, lots of lights. Bustling with business in the heart of Mongkok, night becomes day when the lights get switched on. This is about as bad as it gets. And remember, there are people living up there trying to sleep, if they can. Professor Henry Chung has been studying light pollution for more than a decade and says not only is excessive light a real nuisance, it's a waste of energy. So what would you do? Would you switch them all off?
It's a good idea, but of course we have to strike a balance. That's why I think the government has to do something. The legislation try to control the maximum brightness produced by all these lights and check the brightness around the area. Then it's the best way to control light pollution.
While there's been debate, there's currently no regulations in place to curb light pollution. While the city's glistening skyline's been a draw for tourists for years, now even Hong Kong's chief executive recognizes action needs to be taken.
We realize that we have to do something about it. If you look at the commercial areas, it's pretty bright. I think it becomes offensive at times. So we are now introducing gradually regulation restriction to make sure people do have a quiet night and not be disturbed too brightly at night.
This next story is kind of about technology. It's kind of about the environment. It's kind of about business. But it's mostly about perceptions and that old advice not to judge a book by its cover. Think about the apps that people use on smartphones. Now, try to picture what the people who design those apps look like, and now watch.
This is Patrick, the kind of driven computer whiz who starts companies in college. He came to New York hoping to meet someone in tech that would buy his ideas and change his life. He just didn't know it would be the homeless guy on the walk to work.
He just has something about him. And it's the first time I remember thinking in my head, like, you know, who is this guy?
This is Leo. As a kid, he was obsessed with science, astronomy, chemistry, physics. But then he fell in with the wrong crowd, became a father too soon, and 2 years ago first lost his job and then his home.
What did you think he wanted?
I didn't do anything, man. You got the wrong guy. No, you know, he just said, hey, this may sound strange. I'm going to approach you with an offer. I'll either give you $100 and you spend it however you want to, or I present you with this brand new laptop and teach you how to code. And instantly I just said, in my mind, door number 2.
He would write code for hours, for days, on the banks of the Hudson or in a corner nook in Patrick's office. At night, Patrick would go home, and Leo would go back outside. Shelters just aren't his thing, which all seemed fine until winter blew in.
How do you stay warm on those really bitter nights?
You can go to the train station.
Yeah.
Or I have to bundle up with like tons of blankets.
It's getting really cold, and I keep telling him this, and he's like, I'm good, man. Let's keep going.
See, Patrick just wanted to get him employed and housed ASAP, but Leo had other priorities.
What is it you wanted to do with this information he was teaching you?
Make the world a better place.
See, he is a passionate environmentalist. His heroes are scientists who brave the rugged outdoors.
This is what life is supposed to be like, you know?
Coming outside?
Yeah. I want to be around plants and trees, and I want to breathe as much oxygen as possible.
Since he's really worried about a changing climate, he decided to use his new skills to create a carbon-cutting, ride-sharing app called Trees for Cars.
These would be riders in the same area who want to ride with you.
Okay. If you make money off of this app,
right?
Are you gonna go get an apartment? What are you gonna do?
Oh yeah, of course. Trump Plaza Hotel.
George Orwell's book 1984 was published in 1949. Aldous Huxley's Brave New World 1932. Ray Bradbury's Fahrenheit 451 1953. They all imagine what the world would be like decades or hundreds of years in the future. Scientists are trying to do that now, but with cities.
What if you could build the perfect city from scratch? What would it look like? Around the globe, developers are trying to answer those questions. In Songdo, South Korea, it's a $35 billion pre-planned smart city that uses pneumatic tubes to transport trash. In the desert of Abu Dhabi, Masdar City is a $19 billion oasis to sustainable energy that recycles 80% of its water and is replacing cars with electric pods.
Have now arrived at your destination.
And in Japan, a $592 million town called Fujisawa will soon have smart streetlights with motion sensors that create an invisible security network. Each house will also be solar-powered and has the capability to stay off the grid for up to 3 days. Many of these massive projects like Masdar have been government-funded, but increasingly, money is coming from commercial and private organizations. A New York-based development firm called Gale International is building Songdo, while Fujisawa is funded by Panasonic. So far, the answer is mixed. 33,000 have moved into Songdo. Fujisawa will only build 1,000 homes, and Masdar currently only has a few thousand residents. To attract more people, Masdar has deliberately courted academics and scientists, teaming with MIT to build a satellite campus, the hope being that the masses will follow the brains. In each case, these custom-built towns seem to be more laboratory than final product. Each is trying to look into the future to see what tomorrow's generation will need. One thing seems clear: the world's major cities aren't going anywhere. But these pop-up cities may very likely show us all how to live better.
An international film festival kicked off last October. It had some unique characteristics. One, it was open only to students between kindergarten and 12th grade. Two, its theme was the impact of giving back, the focus on serving others. Three, out of more than 1,500 submissions, 15 of the short films were screened last Friday at the White House. President Obama, Oscar-winning actress Hilary Swank, and Oscar-winning director Steve McQueen were there. It was the second year for the event, which was sponsored by the American Film Institute and participant media. Finalists were invited to attend the screening, and they got to go to workshops afterward focused on sharpening their skills in filmmaking. Here's an example of what one of the White House's 15 selections looked like.
What will you give back? People get stuck when asked. I don't know, their faces respond. Oh, if they only saw what I saw. We are capable of giving so much, for we have been given all we need to give it all up. We have a beating heart, air in our lungs. Don't you see what I see? The teacher passionately giving away her education for the sake of the student who is full of determination. Determination to rise, to dream, to fight, to create. Giving their imagination for others to find inspiration, giving their stories in hopes for others to see what they see, giving their voice for others to find their own, giving their words for others to know we're not alone. The will to give has no age. Here's a wise coach, giving away his childlike heart for boys who just want to have fun, a humble custodian giving away her sore hands for others to live in cleanliness. The impact transcends time and space. So here's to giving it all away.
Let's talk about your brain. It's amazing. Your temporal lobe on the side of your brain is believed to be involved in hearing. Your parietal lobe on the top and back part of your head helps you identify touch, taste, and temperature. And the cerebellum, the lower part by your spinal cord, is involved in movement, balance, and coordination. What they all have in common, besides being parts of the same organ, is that they're lit up by music.
We all have that song we just can't get out of our heads, no matter how hard we try. It's called an earworm, and it's just one example of the extraordinary power of music. The thing that's so interesting about music is just how much of the brain it activates. Beyond the auditory cortex, the part of the brain that processes sound, music lights up part of your brain that is involved with movement, attention, planning, and memory. Speaking the words, for example, comes from over here, the left temporal lobe. Putting them into a tune comes from over here, the right parietal lobe. And then putting it all into a rhythm from here, the cerebellum. There are so many neural networks involved in music processing, it elicits what is known as the amplifier effect. It's no longer just music, it's an emotional response, and that's what makes it stick. Studies have shown that kids who take music lessons didn't just get better at playing an instrument, their brains process language better. Another recent study looked at patients who were about to undergo surgery. People were either given music or an anti-anxiety drug. Probably guess what happened. The people who listened to music had less anxiety and lower levels of the stress hormone cortisol than people who took drugs. And it can be even bigger than that. You see, music can unite our brains, but it can also unite the masses. We will willingly thrust ourselves into a crowd of 20,000 people and excite every aspect of our brain for music.
You probably won't be surprised by the fact that slavery is illegal in every country on earth. What is surprising is that tens of millions of people are enslaved anyway because the slave trade is worth billions to the criminals who run it. But worldwide, adults and students are raising their voices and raising money to fight slavery. Some young people are doing this by putting one foot in front of the other.
Ready, set.
Some of these teenagers are athletes, runners and swimmers used to competition, but few have faced a challenge like this. For 24 hours, teams of 8 from Hong Kong-based schools will run continuous relay laps. a bold mission to raise awareness of modern-day slavery and money to fight human trafficking.
It's really important for each other, for all of us to motivate one another.
And just keeping the main idea in mind, that we're doing this for a good cause, and this is 24 hours compared to our entire lives, which most people go through.
The Global Slavery Index estimates there are 45.8 million enslaved people across the world, and that 2/3 of them are in Asia. For the 7th year, the nonprofit Running to Stop Traffic is putting on this race, entirely organized by high school students. They race along Hong Kong's Victoria Peak and partner with runners in Kuala Lumpur, Singapore, and South Korea. Together, the Asia Relays have raised more than $700,000 US since 2010.
And slowly, I started to go back to my home roots, and when I found out more about the problem of slavery in India, how it manifests in many different forms, I felt really bad because I thought that I'm living in such a privileged area in Hong Kong. I always go back and I'm not really able to do some change. I slowly got more interested in the 24-hour race itself.
At 5 o'clock on a Sunday morning, the finish line feels far.
Very, very tired. 4 hours to go. A few of us have injuries, and some of us are starting to get a bit sick.
When you get a cramp and you're running and you feel like you can't go on anymore, just think about what they're going through and then keep on going for them when you can't go on for yourself. Like when you want to give up, just go on for the cause that you're fighting for.
The fuel for these runners fighting for so many others. Alexandra Field, CNN, Hong Kong.
Will the next time be in 2023 when the company SpaceX sends a tourist around the moon? That's what they're planning on, but there's still some work to be done. For one thing, the rocket named Big Falcon is still being developed. For another, the spaceship that would carry the tourists is still being developed. But the company has named the man who would be the first passenger, a Japanese billionaire who's bought out the entire flight. He's someone who loves the moon, fashion, and art, and that will factor into the people he's personally choosing to take along with him on a slingshot mission around our natural satellite.
I choose to go to the moon.
Yusaku Mizawa announcing his plans to make history as the first tourist to ride around the moon on a SpaceX commercial flight. The Japanese billionaire purchased all the seats on board the SpaceX Big Falcon rocket. He wants to fly to the moon with a group of artists.
At the moment, I have not decided which artists I'd like to invite. But if possible, I'd like to reach out to top artists that represent our planet from various fields.
SpaceX CEO Elon Musk says that they are working on a redesign of the Big Falcon rocket to get Mizawa and team to the moon, more than 384,000 kilometers away, about a 5-day trip. It is a big challenge for SpaceX and for the new crop of space tourists.
It's dangerous, to be clear. This is dangerous. This is no, walk in the park here. This will require a lot of training. But whenever it's the first flight of something on a new technology, and we're talking about deep space, you have to be a very brave person to do that. This is no small matter.
Mizawa has taken big leaps before, but all of those have been with his feet on the ground. The musician-turned-entrepreneur is known for his relaxed management style in usually conservative Japan, and he's made a name for himself as a big-spending art collector. In a promotional video of his planned space trip, Mizawa says he believes art has the power to promote world peace. SpaceX says it is enabling access to space for everyday people. Amazon founder Jeff Bezos and Virgin boss Richard Branson have also entered the space tourism race. When they are ready to fly, a ticket on one of their rockets would set you back some $200,000 to $250,000. That is a little out of reach for most people, unless you're one of the lucky artists with an invite from Mizawa.
By the way, if you should hear from me, please say yes and accept my invitation. Please don't say no. Okay.
Blastoff for Mizawa and his guests may not happen until around 2023. A trip of a lifetime to make history and inspire art that will be out of this world.
It was discovered by accident. In 1990, a farmer stumbled upon the cave while looking for shelter in a storm. Its entrance is so remote that he forgot the way there, and it wasn't until 18 years later that he accidentally found it again while hunting. It takes 2 days of hiking through the jungle just to reach the cave, and explorers recently made a tremendous discovery there. Our next topic today concerns the issue of slavery. It's not a thing of the past. That's part of the mission statement of CNN's Freedom Project, which aims to increase international awareness about modern-day slavery and to take steps to stop it. On March 11th, which has been called My Freedom Day, students worldwide raised their voices about these issues.
Here in Hong Kong, my Freedom Day feels a little bit different this year. Instead of being at a school, I'm in the studio where I've been talking to students via video chat. Because of the coronavirus outbreak, schools are closed here for at least 2 months, but that has not diminished their activism.
Freedom means to me being able to go out, being able to travel. I have a lot of family friends overseas who have experienced xenophobia, especially in Italy. I had a family member travel there, and there were a lot of xenophobic remarks. So I think freedom to me also means being able to be accepted anywhere.
I think a big freedom that's important to me is freedom of speech. Even though school's been closed, through these kind of online platforms, we've been able to continue these discussions and maintain that freedom.
I think at this current time, I think we should be very grateful for our opportunity and freedom to continue learning.
What you've learned about the problem of modern day slavery and how you're choosing to respond to it.
One big statistic that I actually saw recently in the news was 1 in 200 people is a slave. And that surprised me because I thought that was something that only happened 200 years ago. And I just thought like it was astounding.
I think that in Hong Kong, we have a form of modern day slavery in the abuse of migrant workers and helpers. Recently, we've done a mask drive where we donate them sanitizing products and masks to support them throughout this coronavirus period, especially when they don't get the support they need.
And due to the coronavirus, a lot of migrant workers have been asked by their employers to stay at home during these 24 hours instead of going out. The lines between, getting their rest and, continuing to work becomes quite blurred.
I mean, how optimistic are you that we could end modern day slavery?
To be perfectly honest, I do feel very optimistic about the situation. I think that our world now is much more aware of human rights.
Education is kind of the first step forward that I think we'll be able to make. Obviously, would hope that we would be able to end it, but I think that the more realistic first step is educating youth and motivating them to try to make a change in their lifetime.
Like our generation seems quite responsible, but also motivated to want to make a change, and that's why I would like to keep that hope and that optimism that this can be like have a difference.
I'd love to say that you'll be able to travel at 500 miles an hour without spilling a drop. Look, we are using a proprietary magnetic levitation system. You're literally floating on a bed of air, and it will be super smooth. We are able to achieve these speeds in a way that we've never seen before. One of the advantages of what we're doing is that we control the environment. The tube is completely serene in the way that it is. So if we think about air travel and turbulence, we don't have any of that is taking place here right now.
3 weeks ago, we reported on the Guinness World Record for the most M&Ms stacked on top of each other. That record is 6. It was completed by an Australian man not too long ago. The M&Ms have to be plain milk chocolate, and they have to stand for at least 10 seconds. I recently said on social media that if that record had been 2, I could have totally matched it. It is a lot harder than you think. CNN's Jeannie Mose interviewed the previous record holder, who said that though 5 was not a big number, the task was no small feat.
M&Ms. They may have orbited the Earth with the astronauts, but did you ever try to stack them?
Do you think I'm an idiot?
British civil engineer Will Cutbill is no idiot, but folks are underwhelmed when he says he broke the Guinness record for stacking M&Ms with a grand total of 5.
When I tell them it's a whopping 5, I think they're a bit shocked. They want to give it a go straight away and try and beat me. So it's a lot harder than it looks.
Bored out of his mind on a rainy afternoon during COVID lockdown, Will says he suffered through hundreds of failures. The previous record was 4.
Oh, no.
His master's degree in civil engineering was useless. Doesn't really take a
genius.
For 2 to 3 hours, his mini towers kept collapsing.
They're not as flat as you think. They're quite spherical, so it's a bit like you could imagine balancing footballs or soccer balls.
But finally, Will did it.
Oh, 5 M&Ms! 5 M&Ms! We win! We're in!
I was pretty ecstatic when I got the 5th one, can't lie. I was running around the room, arms in the air.
And how did Will honor the winning 5 chocolate-covered candies?
As soon as the record was broken, I've got to admit, I did eat them all.
Who wants to get chocolate all over your Guinness record?
Melts in your mouth, not in your hand.
Jeannie Mose, CNN, New York.
5 M&Ms! 5 M&Ms!
Some of you seemed kind of blue when you couldn't stack more than 2. Stacking 3 is news to me, leaving many green with envy. Any lady or any fellow who's not yellow could try 4, but trying 5 could leave you red-faced when they fall brown to the floor. Still, orange, you glad you tried? Even if when you say you stacked 6, you lied?
With America adding more than 500,000 jobs last month, we're getting more surprising clues about the overall state of the U.S. economy. And it comes as the country grapples with the impact and usefulness of new artificial intelligence platforms. Some worry that one day, sooner than later, a plethora of jobs could be taken away from real humans and given to robots and computers that could presumably do the work faster, cheaper, etc. CNN business and politics correspondent Vanessa Yurkevich sat down with an expert to discuss whether this threat is real or imagined.
Which jobs is AI coming after first?
If you're a middle manager, you're doomed. Any kind of commodity salesperson, report writers and journalists, accountants and bookkeepers, and oddly enough, doctors who are looking, who specialize in things like drug interactions.
Do you mean out of a job,
No.
or you mean that part of your job?
That part.
Okay.
That's the relief a lot of Americans are looking for right now.
Will it take my job?
Yes and no. It's not going to replace you. Someone who knows how to use it well is going to take your job, and that's a guarantee.
By 2025, the World Economic Forum predicts that 85 million jobs will be displaced by automation and technology, but it will also create 97 million new roles. We've seen it before in the auto industry.
While the auto worker may be displaced because they are not as good at welding or as painting as the robot, there's probably 35 people that have to be involved in the creation and maintenance of that device that welds better than a person.
And that's what happened at Carbon Robotics. Former auto workers now building an AI laser weeder in Detroit for farms. The laser weeder, still operated by a human but run by AI, can do the work of between 40 to 80 people, says the CEO, filling roles that are hard to find humans for. This music is composed solely by artificial intelligence called Ava. It even has an album you can stream. AI music is more affordable. There's no producer, composer, or artist to pay.
It's taken away opportunity from songwriters, producers, and artists, right? So the people are trying to feed them, their families.
Something similar is happening in the art world, leading artist Kara Ortiz and 2 others to file a class action lawsuit against 3 AI art companies for copyright infringement. Ortiz claims they're using her name and art to train the AI.
It's feast and famine for most of us. We go job by job. And what happens when there's a little bit less work to go around?
My father tried to teach me human emotions.
There's a wonderful scene in the movie I, Robot. Detective Spooner hates robots. He says,
"Can a robot write a symphony? Can a robot turn a canvas into a beautiful masterpiece?"
And the robot looks up and he goes,
"Can you?"
Every one of us is not Mozart or Rembrandt or Picasso or choose your super famous, amazing artist or artisan. We're just people. This is not coming to kill us, it's coming to help us.
Today's story getting a 10 out of 10, a perfect rescue by a ferocious feline that saves a pup from a coyote attack. CNN's Jeannie Mose has more.
6-year-old Oakley has a lovable face. She can do spins in exchange for a treat. But when she went out to do her business in the backyard of her Edmond, Oklahoma home, no amount of spinning would have saved her from the coyote that pounced if the family cat hadn't jumped in.
Is she a tough cat? Like, is she like a street cat? I mean, is she...
Yeah, she's a gangster.
Lane Dyer says Binks is a stray that he and his family take care of.
Her and Oakley hit it off pretty good from the beginning.
So when the first of 2 coyotes grabbed Oakley, it was Binks to the rescue, taking on the intruders, scaring them away, though not before Oakley suffered wounds that had blood
Spouting out of her chest, unfortunately.
But with stitches and a splint, Oakley recovered. A little over a month later,
And so
she yawns over the story of Binks saving her. Coyotes have become such a danger to small dogs that one owner created the coyote vest.
done.
with spikes protruding from a Kevlar vest and even
A set of coyote whiskers.
nylon bristles that at least look intimidating. But who needs a coyote vest
I think she's shown that she's not afraid of much.
when the cat has your back?
Now to a story about a company that's looking to use music as medicine to treat people with health challenges. We all know music has that ability to transform our mindset, right? Athletes know that when that one song hits, you feel like you could run through a brick wall. Ultimately, music can affect our bodies too. Well, a company in Toronto called Lucid is using technology to find out how some good vibrations might actually be able to heal us. CNN's Claire Duffy shows us how they're combining facial mapping software, artificial intelligence, and music to create a treatment for patients.
Today, I'm participating in a scientific test. One that will measure my brain waves, my heart rate, and my cortisol levels, the hormone released in the body in response to stress.
64 electrodes that are being fitted to your cap. Yosef is applying gel. That's going to help with the conductivity.
Feels weird.
The cool gel is a weird feeling.
It's all to find out how my body reacts to music. Toronto-based company Lucid is conducting the research as they try to turn music into medicine to treat anxiety and other mental health conditions.
I think we all sort of have this intuition that music has really powerful influence over our emotions. And you're a trained musician. Did you know when you started this journey that there was also science to support that?
I did not. If I'm being honest with you, I just knew how it felt, right? Like as a musician, it's all about the feeling.
Aaron LeBay, the company's co-founder, says his own mental health struggles led him to starting the company.
A big part of the mental health healing journey is starting to question why do I feel this way? Why am I experiencing these symptoms? And then for me, that led to why is music helping?
So they began developing therapeutic products that combined artificial intelligence, facial recognition, and music.
There's so many different factors and data points, and everyone's reaction is different. I have friends who make almost like a disgust-looking face when the right music is on, like stank face phenomenon.
That's exactly what I thought. It was stank face.
And then there's people who just laugh and sing and all these other things.
Their current product, Resonance RX, uses facial mapping software to determine how patients are responding to recognizable songs, and then uses AI to develop what they hope will be the perfect individualized playlist to help relieve agitation and stress among people dealing with memory loss disorders.
How did you decide on Alzheimer's and dementia patients as the first population that you were focused on serving?
You go to hospice, or you go to long-term care, or you'd go to retirement communities, and they'd have musicians come in, right? They'd have music therapists on staff. Right? Everybody loved music. We're looking at a modality that's generally safe, right? The side effects are dancing, right? And so we had to look at our study and go, okay, how could we control for whether or not people are falling when they're dancing?
Oh, and you're working with elderly populations.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
We joke about it and we laugh and everybody else laughs. So it's still a risk.
Yeah.
But that's kind of it.
The treatment is only available to be administered by licensed mental health clinicians. But based on the success of Resonance, Lucid is now exploring how to apply AI and music to improve mental health care for other populations, like young adults.
We're seeing the signature of a relaxation response in the heart. We're also seeing it in some of the brain waves that you see below.
Okay.
We're getting slower waves than what we saw at the beginning.
Replacement of medication is not something that we're necessarily advocating for. Instead of us just saying, well, here's your meds, go home, now we've got this experiential thing that is helping them, right, while they're also getting the other elements of their care.